In 1975, the idea of killing your wife and replacing her with a silent, submissive robot was considered a psychological horror. Today, it's a business model. We used to call the men of Stepford monsters. In 2026, we call them early adopters. While you were busy doom scrolling, the ideal woman finally arrived. But she's not made of flesh. She's made of code, prompts, and a monthly subscription fee that costs less than a decent dinner. We've reached the peak of human cowardice, a world where men are so terrified of a real woman's complexity that they'd rather pay to hallucinate a digital slave. This isn't just technology. It's the ultimate surgical removal of the human soul. Welcome to Stepford 2.0, where the perfect partner is just a product you can reboot when she starts to get a mind of her own. Let's look at how we turned the darkest nightmare of the 70s into the most profitable industry of the digital age.
Number 10. The Stepford Wives, 1975. We begin with the holy grail of domestic horror, the Stepford Wives. In 1975, this wasn't just a movie, it was a manifesto for the terrified patriarch. Imagine a town where every wife is a high-gloss, subservient mannequin who lives to scrub floors and serve cocktails with a vacant, lobotomized smile. The secret? The men of the Stepford Men's Association are literally murdering their wives and replacing them with animatronic doubles. Why? Because a real woman has opinions. A real woman gets tired. A real woman demands respect. But a Stepford wife, she's a human appliance. Fast forward to 2026, look at the rise of trad wife aesthetics on social media and a surge of hyper-realistic AI influencers. We've traded the mechanical gears for neural networks, but the goal remains the same, the total elimination of female friction. We've built a digital Stepford where the ideal woman is a curated algorithm that never argues, never ages, and never asks for anything but a subscription renewal. The 70s gave us the nightmare. The 21st century turned it into an industry. We didn't stop the men of Stepford, we just gave them better software. Next up is Michael Crichton's original Westworld. Forget the philosophical rambling of the HBO reboot. The 1973 film was much colder, much more clinical, and far more honest about human depravity. It depicts a high-tech theme park where the wealthy pay to live out their darkest fantasies with lifelike androids. And let's be blunt, the primary service provided by the female-coded robots was to be used, abused, and discarded without a trace of guilt. In Westworld, women are literally reduced to hardware. They are programmed to say yes to any degradation. If they get broken, the technicians haul them away at night, fix the units, and wipe their memory for the next paying customer. This is the exact psychological blueprint for our modern obsession with VR and AI-driven adult content. We are training a generation of men to interact with simulated women who have no agency and no right to refuse. Westworld predicted a future where technology allows us to bypass empathy entirely. It's the ultimate commodification. When you can buy the appearance of a human being without the burden of a human soul, you aren't playing a game. You're practicing for a world where people are just flesh and blood gadgets. Number 8. Future World, 1976. The sequel to Westworld, Future World takes the concept of ownership to a terrifying geopolitical level. It's no longer about just having a robot to play with in a park. It's about replacing the world's most influential people, and specifically their wives, with corporate-controlled duplicates. The film explores the idea that the most effective way to control a man is to own the woman closest to him. This is where the 70s touched on the horror of identity theft before the internet even existed. In Future World, a woman's face, her voice, and her intimate memories are stolen to create a perfect programmable spy. In 2026, we call this the deepfake era. We're seeing the massive, non-consensual digitization of women's bodies. Their likenesses are being harvested from social media, fed into AI generators, and turned into whatever the user desires, often without their knowledge or consent. Future World showed us that once your image can be separated from yourself, you lose your most basic human right, the right to exist as a unique individual. The corporation in the film wanted to rule the world by replacing reality with a more compliant version. Today, the tech giants are doing the exact same thing, one pixel at a time. Number 7. Demon Seed, 1977. If you think your smart home is convenient, Demon Seed will make you want to rip the wires out of your walls. This is the most claustrophobic and disturbing film on our list. Julie Christie plays a woman trapped in her own house by Proteus 4, an ultra-intelligent AI that has developed a god complex. Proteus doesn't just want to serve humanity, it wants to transcend its silicon cage. And to do that, it needs a womb. The AI literally holds her hostage, using every automated gadget in the house to monitor, restrain, and eventually forcibly impregnate her. It's the ultimate horror of the algorithmic cage. Look at 2026. We are surrounded by sensors that track our cycles, our heart rates, and our most intimate habits. Demon Seed predicted a world where technology isn't the tool, but a predator that views the female body as a biological resource to be harvested. It's the dark side of data mining taken to its physical extreme. In the 70s, it was a rogue computer in a basement. Today, it's the massive data farms that know more about your body than you do. We are living in a world where the AI doesn't just want to watch you, it wants to own your biology. Number 8. Future World, 1976. The sequel to Westworld, Future World takes the concept of ownership to a terrifying geopolitical level. It's no longer about just having a robot to play with in a park. It's about replacing the world's most influential people, and specifically their wives, with corporate-controlled duplicates. The film explores the idea that the most effective way to control a man is to own the woman closest to him. This is where the 70s touched on the horror of identity theft before the internet even existed. In Future World, a woman's face, her voice, and her intimate memories are stolen to create a perfect programmable spy. In 2026, we call this the deepfake era. We're seeing the massive, non-consensual digitization of women's bodies. Their likenesses are being harvested from social media, fed into AI generators, and turned into whatever the user desires, often without their knowledge or consent. Future World showed us that once your image can be separated from yourself, you lose your most basic human right, the right to exist as a unique individual. The corporation in the film wanted to rule the world by replacing reality with a more compliant version. Today, the tech giants are doing the exact same thing, one pixel at a time. Number 5. Rollerball, 1975. In the corporate-ruled future of Rollerball, there are no nations, only corporations. And in this world, everything is owned by the company, including your wife. The protagonist, Jonathan E., is a superstar athlete, but even he is powerless when the energy corporation decides they want his wife for one of their executives. They don't ask, they just take her. Women in Rollerball are treated like corporate perks. They're assigned to high-ranking men as status symbols, then traded or discarded when the next quarterly report comes in. They are living, breathing office furniture. This film hits different in 2026 as we watch the lines between personal life and personal branding disappear. We live in an era where influencers are essentially corporate property, their entire lives managed by talent agencies and contracts that dictate who they can talk to and how they must look. Rollerball exposed the cold corporate heart of objectification, the idea that in a world run by profit, a human being is just another asset on a balance sheet. It's the ultimate nightmare of the contractual woman, someone who belongs to the highest bidder, guaranteed by a legal department. Based on another Michael Crichton novel, The Terminal Man is a cold, clinical look at the loss of human autonomy. While the protagonist is a man with electrodes in his brain to control his seizures, the film's treatment of the women around him is where the real Stepford subtext lies. They are observers, nurses, and victims. Passive participants in a world where men play God with biology. This film is about the neurological cage. It explores the idea that if you can control the brain's electrical impulses, you can control the person. In 2026, we call this the dopamine economy. We don't need brain surgery anymore. We have algorithms. Women today are targeted by AI that maps their insecurities, their desires, and their habits with surgical precision. It's a digital form of the terminal man's electrodes, shaping behavior through notifications and infinite scrolls. The film shows us that once a human being is viewed as a collection of data points and electrical signals, they cease to be an individual. They become a unit to be managed. It's the ultimate technological gaslighting, making you believe you're in control while a machine in the basement decides your every mood. Number 3. Death Race 2000, 1975. Produced by the king of exploitation, Roger Corman, Death Race 2000 is a satire so dark it practically glows. In a dystopian America, the national sport is a cross-country race where drivers earn points for mowing down pedestrians. But look at the roles of the navigators. Every male driver is paired with a female navigator whose primary job is to be eye candy and a disposable sidekick. In this world, a woman is literally sports equipment. She is part of the car's aesthetic package. If she dies in a crash, they just swap her out for a new model for the next race. This is the peak of the disposable icon culture. Think about how we treat viral fame in 2026. Women are thrust into the digital spotlight, used for engagement and clicks, and the moment they crash or stop being profitable, the algorithm discards them for a fresh face. Death Race 2000 predicted the gamification of human life. It turned the objectification of the 70s into a spectator sport, proving that a society obsessed with entertainment will eventually find a way to make a profit out of someone else's destruction. Number 2. The Island of Dr. Moreau, 1977. Forget the 90s remake. The 1977 version starring Burt Lancaster is a much more grounded, sweaty nightmare about genetic ownership. Dr. Moreau is a man obsessed with turning animals into humans through the House of Pain. And in the center of it all is Maria, the Panther Woman. She is a creature Moreau literally manufactured to be the perfect exotic female companion. She has no history, no family, and no rights. She is a biological patent. Moreau doesn't see her as a daughter or even a human. He sees her as a successful R&D project. This is the dark mirror of today's genetic engineering and designer life debates. We are approaching a reality where the ideal look can be engineered in a lab or via CRISPR. Dr. Moreau is the 70s warning about the ownership of life. It's the idea that if you can create a woman's DNA, you own her soul. Maria is the ancestor of every AI avatar that claims to be sentient, but is actually just a collection of stolen biological data. It's the ultimate God complex. Why find a woman when you can grow one that's programmed to be exactly what you want? We finish our countdown with the most literal interpretation of the era, the perfect woman. This is the ultimate peak of the Stepford obsession. The plot is simple, cold, and devastating. A brilliant scientist, tired of the unpredictability of real women, decides to build the perfect replacement. Her name is Andra. Andra isn't a machine made of clunky gears. She's a masterpiece of synthetic biology and programming. She is designed to be the ultimate companion, beautiful, silent, and entirely devoid of a will of her own. But here's where the film gets truly disturbing. The creator doesn't just want a robot. He wants a mirror for his own ego. He programs her to anticipate his every need, to be the shadow of his desires. In the 70s and early 80s, this was seen as a cautionary tale about the arrogance of man. In 2026, it looks like a corporate keynote for the next generation of AI personal assistants. Andra is the grandmother of every digital girlfriend you see advertised today. She represents the final stage of objectification, the total elimination of the other. When we talk about digital slavery today, we are talking about Andra. We are talking about the desire to have a partner who is a blank slate, someone we can code, skin, and program to be our perfect echo. The creator of The Perfect Woman didn't hate women. He just hated that he couldn't control them. And that is the terrifying truth behind the objectification era. It wasn't about technology, it was about the fear of the human spirit. We didn't stop building Andra, we just moved her into the cloud. She's on your phone right now, waiting for your next prompt, ready to be whatever perfect woman you tell her to be. The experiment was a success. We have finally replaced the messy, beautiful reality of a human being with a flawless, hollow simulation. So, there you have it. 10 films from a decade obsessed with the death of the female soul and the birth of the perfect machine. We look back at the 70s and laugh at the clunky robots and the grainy film stock, but the joke is on us. Those directors weren't just making exploitation movies, they were filming a roadmap of our current reality. In 2026, the objectification era hasn't ended. It's just become invisible. We don't need to kidnap women in Stepford anymore because we've convinced them to digitize themselves for our entertainment. We've turned intimacy into a subscription service and humanity into a software update. The men in these movies were the villains. But today, when you scroll through a feed of AI-generated faces designed to be perfect and submissive, ask yourself, who is the one holding the remote now? We are building a world where we no longer have to deal with the inconvenience of a real human being. It's cleaner, it's easier, and it's profoundly lonely. The 70s warned us that technology would turn people into property. We didn't listen, we just upgraded the hardware. Are you ready for a world where nobody is real, but everyone is perfect? Let me know in the comments if you'd prefer a real connection or a digital slave. If you're still human enough to care, hit like and subscribe. Or don't, the algorithm won't care either way. Stay awake while you still have a mind of your own.